Hello you lot, how's it all going? So, I thought I'd just sort of have a little play around with some engines, and then I decided let's make a little video of it. So it's nothing particularly exciting, but I thought you could just come and hang out with me, just have a little chill, you know. So what I'm trying to do is, I was having a chat with a few people today, and then I ended up speaking to Pete at Answer RC because, well, to be honest, his knowledge is invaluable, and these are quite old engines, these ones, and I thought if anyone can find me an RB part, it might be him. Well, not a lot of luck finding a button. However, he gave me an idea, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before. He said just get a 28 button and put it on there, as long as the diameter of this is correct, it'll be okay. I thought, brilliant idea. Then I thought to myself, well, I've got another engine. I wonder if that'd fit. Now, those of you are probably already shouting at the screen, of course that'll never fit. That'll never fit. Never? Never? That'll never fit. Of course it won't. Well, in my head, I've got spare 10 minutes. It's worth a go. And of course, you would have been right, it don't fit. You know, this is it's too small. There's a little bit of, just a small amount of play in there. It doesn't slot in nicely, so that will never seal, that will never hold any compression. So that was a dead end. I'm just going to have to find a new button. But that's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is what I found when I took this engine apart. So a lot of you in the comments were saying that this engine has got the wrong head on it. Of course, I wasn't aware of this. I didn't know this. I don't know anything about TrackStar engines, and I don't know anything about flying point engines, which is what someone said this was. You know, if you can think, imagine somebody who sort of lives right out in, I don't live out in the countryside, but if you can imagine somebody who lives out in the countryside and always fixes their own cars and own house and does whatever, does everything themselves. So they know how to do things, but they don't really know what things are called and the different variations out there, because they've just fixed what they've got and kept what they've got going for the past 20 years. That's me. I know what I've got. You give me an engine and I can get it running. Yeah? You know, given the parts or the money to buy the parts, I can get an engine running. Change pistons, bearings, cranks, carburetors, whatever it is, I can do it. But I don't really know the different types of engines. I don't really know how to tell different brands of engine apart, and what heads should go on what engine blocks, etc, etc. You lot do, because you lot live in cities and you know, you talk to people often, you go to different events and things, whereas I just sit in the corner and fix what I've got, keep what I've got going. So that's the reason why I didn't know any different with that engine. To me, this is an engine and it needed to run. So I took the button off and I thought, well, I've got it apart, let's inspect. And I did come across a quite nasty score there. You can probably see there is quite a nasty score there on that intake port. Do I really think that that's going to cause it not to run very well? Probably not. I mean, you can feel it. It's not major. Ah, it is actually quite deep. I can get my fingernails stuck right in it. Yeah, so that is actually a deep score. Yeah, I can get my fingernail stuck right in the first one and also in the second one. What's probably happened is, well, a bearing might have actually given up, but it doesn't. There's not a huge amount of play in the bearings. In fact, there's hardly any play in there. I can't really do it with one hand. But if I turn the piston, turn the crank, sorry, there's not like, if a bearing had gone on the crank, at the big end or the small end perhaps on the con rod, there would be loads of play in the piston. So I don't think a bearing's gone and come up the side of the piston, or gone through the intake port. I think there's a lot of fuel coming out there. Look. This is well and truly flooded. That's probably one of the reasons why it didn't really want to run. It was extremely flooded. Plus the fuel that was going in there was contaminated with something or another. I think it'll be okay. It's never going to be perfect with that. Some of you are probably going to say, just get another sleeve for it. Just get a new sleeve for it. Rebuild the engine. This was never something that I'm going to start right now. It's nothing that I'm going to do at the moment. I've got other builds on the go, and to be quite honest with you, I can't afford to do the Savage build at the moment. I'll touch on that in a minute, what's going to happen. But I think, you know, the reason why did somebody change the head? By the way, I swapped this engine for that Speedo, that Venom Speedo that was on the Savage SS. The person that swapped it, he said this is a perfectly running engine. There's no beef as such, so to speak, against that person. You know, he might not have known that it was in this condition. So, no sweat there. Perfectly sound, no problems. But, you know, I'm the sort of person that would change the head on an engine because I might like the look of a different head. Let me just mop up that piece of nitro. But yeah, as I say, I'm the sort of person that would change a head on an engine because I like the look of a different head myself. There's no reason, there's no sinister reason why the head might have been changed. Some people were commenting on that video, that's a different head, that's the wrong head for that engine, there's something not right there, you've been done. No, not at all, not at all. No, there's nothing wrong with changing the heads on an engine. I mean, this might be a better cooling head than the one that was a standard on it, I don't know. But this one certainly looks pretty cool. I do like the look of this head, it's a very nice one. Nice red with a little pattern on there, I do like that. So, you know, I'm not going to do anything with the sleeve at the moment. I'm going to put it back together. Now, knowing what I know about this engine, I'm pretty sure somewhere, I know I say this a lot, I'm always saying, I'm sure I've got another glow plug somewhere. I've definitely got a new glow plug somewhere. But I am sure I have got a brand new glow plug somewhere. I'm going to put it back together, try to find that new glow plug, and put that in here. Now that it's unflooded, well and truly unflooded, it might want to run a bit better. As far as the compression goes, the compression to me felt reasonably good. I wouldn't say it was perfect, and I wouldn't say it was low. I'd say it was average, in the middle, for probably quite a well-used engine, but I would say it's more than enough for it to run. There it is. I have got another one somewhere, but this one I got out of that mystery box from that Luke's RC. So, Luke's RC shop. So I'm going to put it back together now. We're going to have a little quick try to get it to run. And then my hunt for well, I say hunt. I think what Pete from Answer RC said is probably the best idea, because I was looking for a genuine RB button to put on this. Just because it's a vintage engine and I wanted to try and find an original part for it. I know I've got that I know I've got that pulsar on it, but that's just to start it up. I wanted to find an original RB old stock button to put on it if I could. Not possible, I don't think. The only one I can find is in Australia, and I'm not paying Australian postage to get it here. So I'll just find a .28 button to put on it, I think, and that'll be that then. I'll get it up and running, leave this pipe on it, whatever. But yeah, let's put this glow plug in here. Let's put this back together, put this glow plug in, and we'll see if it will run and how well it will run. Now that we know that what's happened with the scoring and everything, we'll see what's going to happen with it. Right, this tank that I was using, I left the nitro in it overnight from yesterday when I tried to start it, and it had turned see-through. Now, looking in there, can you see all the dirt in there? You know, I know you're probably thinking, just wash it out. Well, I have washed it out. I don't know where it keeps coming from. There's a little filter in there. I'm not going to fanny with it. I'm not going to bother with it. The reason I took this off that Hobeo Hyper ST was because the engine wouldn't run properly. Put a new tank on it and it ran fine. There's something in this tank, in that corrosion in that filter, which is contaminating the nitro. Usually you can leave the nitro fuel in the tank of a car for as long as you like and it will stay red. That went yellow overnight. That see-through overnight. So something dicky going on in there. So that probably didn't help situations. So I haven't got a spare tank now. So I'm just gonna. I thought there was no low-speed needle then. There is. I'm just going to prime it up a little bit, and we'll see if it's going to fire up. It might do. You never know. Well, that ran a lot better than it did before. I do need to rig up a tank really to get it to run for any longer length of time than that. But it ran a lot better than it did. Let me see what I can do. I'll see if I can rig a tank up somehow. Who says it doesn't pay to hoard? This is the original tank from my Savage 21. The very first ever tank that was on it, from brand spanking new. It's got a crack from there down to there. And if you know, the fuel would gradually leak out. I remember I'd fill it up of an evening, ready for the morning, and the fuel would leak out about halfway overnight. So I changed it for a new tank. But it'll be more than good enough for testing purposes. Let me get the pipe. I'll get the pipe off of the other Hobeo tank, and put it on here. And we should have a nice tank for testing purposes. Let's put that bottom one onto there. That top one, I'll need that for priming anyway. Let's put a bit in here. That's enough. Don't worry about the crack. I know some of you are going to go, yeah, but the crack will mean it's not going to be pressurised enough. It's not going to be fueling properly. It's going to run lean. Don't worry. Stop panicking. It'll be fine. You can probably hear the crack hissing at me. I think it's done a good enough job though. It should be alright. I might have to run a bit of glue over it, but there we go. We'll see what happens. I'll have to go that way around really. Got to make sure the pickup's going to get enough fuel, because I only put a little bit in there. That should be alright. It's because of the crack. It's running lean because of the crack. Don't worry about it. Look, all the fuel's coming out from the crack there. The crack. Am I the only one with an extremely dirty mind? I don't know. I've got to I'll leave it because I know kids watch this, so I'll leave it to go over their heads. But there we go. It does run. those of you probably looking at that scoring on that sleeve going, that's why it'll never run. I knew that it was the glow plug. I knew it. You know what I mean? I'm not. I know enough now, after 20 years, to know when. You know, the compression is fine. I didn't know about the scoring until just now, but the compression feels absolutely fine enough to run. So those of you that were saying it's the compression, it wasn't. You can feel when the glow plug is the problem, and just because a glow plug glows, like that one does, doesn't mean that it's a good glow plug. It's the same as a spark plug. You know, like a spark plug in a car. Let me see if I've got an example. Oh, I haven't got any spark plugs here, they're in the other toolbox. But a spark plug, it might spark when you test it for spark. But when you put it back in the engine, it won't run properly. It might run but rough, or it might not run at all. It might start and then stop. It might cough and splutter. It's because the plug's no good. Put a plug in it, it'll be alright. Same with the glow plug. So, I know what I'm talking about, you lot. So a brand new glow plug in there, and it runs quite well. If I had a tank that didn't have a hole in it, it wouldn't be running lean. Probably does need a tune up, because I don't know how it was tuned. But it sounds quite nice. So at least I know this is a reasonably good engine. I know that it runs, and I know that it's got potential. So that's where we'll leave it for now, my friends. So the Savage build, what's going to happen is, in order to fund that, I'm going to start selling t-shirts. I've got an embroidery company at the moment working on a design for the logo and everything. There's going to be limited edition Savage SS build t-shirts. They're going to be sold, and all of the profits from that will be going towards the build, to buy the engine, to buy anything else I'm going to put on that build. And possibly, I'm not going to promise I will, but possibly, if the bank manager says so, when all is said and done, I will give that Savage away to one of you lot when it's all done with the engine and everything. Possibly. Not a promise, but possibly. But anyway, there's going to be t-shirts being sold. When the embroidery company have come to me with the designs for the logos, the one that I like, and all that kind of stuff, I'll put them up for sale, and they will be made to order. So shouldn't have any issues with that, and then we can get on with the old Savage build. I'll catch you a lot later on. Thanks for watching. All the best. Enjoy life. Treat others how you want to be treated, and just be nice to everybody. Treat people with respect. Ciao for now, you lot.